Well, good evening there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Scott Manning coming to you live from Scott Manning Sports Talk. This is a very special edition of the Scott Manning YouTube College Basketball Show. It is my Conference Tournament Mania special. The conference tournaments in college basketball start tomorrow with the ACC, and then the rest of the tournaments get underway on Wednesday with the Big 10, the Big 12, the Big East, and the SEC. We're going to have a great show tonight. We got a lot to talk about. I'm just going to go and just jump right into it because I got some intriguing matchups. You'll get my pick for the championship games, and you'll get my conference tournament champion picks. But let's go ahead and get the show on the road. We're going to start it right out of the gate with the ACC because I'm going in alphabetical order. All right. In the ACC, just to let you know, FYI, the first round matchups are going to be 12-seeded Miami of Florida versus 13-seeded Wake Forest. That's a 12 noon start on ESPN. The other first round matchups are the 10-seeded Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and the 15-seeded Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And then the other matchup in the first round is going to be 11-seeded Boston College and the 14th-seeded Pitt Panthers. Now, in the next round, some teams got a single bye. Virginia Tech got a single bye. They're the 5th seed. They'll be awaiting the winner of the Miami-Wake Forest game. Louisville, they'll be waiting the winner of the Georgia Tech Notre Dame game. Syracuse, now Louisville was a 7 seed, Virginia Tech was the 5 seed. The 6th seed is Syracuse. They'll be awaiting the winner of the Boston College and Pitt. And we already got one matchup we're already settled for the next round, for the second round, and that's 8-seeded NC State and 9-seeded Clemson. And I'm going to talk about here in just a very second. And then the 4 seeds, we got the double bye of Virginia, Florida State, North Carolina, and Duke. The number one seeded Virginia will be waiting the winner of the NC State Clemson matchup. Now, that matchup, NC State and Clemson, earlier in the season, it would have been the hottest ticket in town. NC State, after watching Braxton Beverly hit that 3 against Clemson, couldn't happen again. Now, NC State and Clemson have met because Braxton Beverly, remember right, he was the one to hit that 3 ball at the buzzer to give it to him. But Clemson missed 4 straight free throws. Clemson right now is in danger of not making the NCAA tournament. Here's what's going on. Clemson has struggled. They've had their problems all year. With the Braxton Beverly 3, Clemson has given away games in every which way possible. That North Carolina matchup, where they lost 81-79 on a misjudged play, that cost them. NC State, they have just struggled to get to the finish line. And that's all there is there, bottom line. And my thing is right now, with the ACC as competitive as it is, you need to understand that there's a lot at stake here in the ACC tournament. Virginia Tech, they're one of the dark horses to win it. I can see them coming out of the pack and taking it away. And if it all fans out right, Virginia Tech would possibly face Florida State in the next round. And you know Florida State and Leonard Hamilton, they're tough as can be. They earned that 4 seed. Virginia Tech just missed the 5 seed. But remember, Virginia Tech owns a victory against Duke. There's something to think about there. What about Louisville? Could Louisville jump out of the pack and take it away? Louisville will get the winner of the Georgia Tech Notre Dame matchup in the first round. However, if it all fans out right, Louisville will get North Carolina for a 3rd time. And remember what Louisville did in Chapel Hill when they humiliated them. And here's the thing about Louisville. Louisville started red hot 7-1. They lost 6 of their last 9 games and limped to the finish line. That's all there was to it for them. But the one team that I'm watching for the next round is a very interesting matchup. Syracuse. 6-seeded Syracuse. They'll get the Boston College Pitt winner. But if it all fans out correctly, Syracuse will face Duke in the quarterfinal. That would be an interesting matchup. Remember, Duke and Syracuse have split. Duke beat them. Syracuse knocked off at Duke at Cameron Indoor. So that's a very big win for them. But Duke got the revenge at the Carrier Dome later in the season. But let me say this, though. If there was any team that could come out of the pack and take it away, the dark horse that I've got Virginia Tech down as a dark horse to win it all. I'm going to tell you that now. They're my dark horse. And I'm going to write that down while I'm thinking about it. They could be the one that could take it away. Virginia Tech will be my dark horse. Virginia Tech will be, yeah. I apologize for mumbling amongst myself here, but I just want to make sure I'm on the correct response. I could see Virginia Tech knocking off Florida State. I could see that. But my ACC final is going to be Duke and Virginia, and I've got Virginia winning it all. That is my prediction, and that's all there is to it. So as far as the ACC goes, may the best team win. I made my predictions. I got Virginia Tech down as my dark horse. I got Duke and Virginia meeting in the final, and I've got Virginia winning the whole thing. Now, no disrespect to Duke. I'm a Cameron crazy. I admit it. However, there's been some concerns. Now, with Zion Williamson coming back, it could change the whole landscape. But I'm sticking with Virginia because they've been red hot all season. Ty Jerome, Kyle Guy, DeAndre Hunter. You don't need to go any further than that. But don't sleep on Duke either. They got Zion's back. They got R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish. However, Trey Jones got hurt. He's been injured, so he suffered a knee injury the other night against North Carolina. There's some concerns there. But North Carolina, they've got Kobe White, Garrison Brooks. That's all you need to know there. So one more time to reiterate, my dark horse to win it is Virginia Tech. My championship game prediction is Duke and Virginia, and my prediction is going to be Virginia to win the whole thing. All right, that's enough of the ACC. The hard one's out of the way. Let's move on to the Big East, and there's a lot to talk about there. Now, the Big East tournament starts on Wednesday. And there's a lot I want to talk about. Now, your two first-round matchups in the Big East tournament are going to be Butler versus Providence. Now, last year, Providence, they were one of the red hot seeds. They were a 5 seed last year. Made it all the way to the Big East final until they lost to Villanova. This year, Providence is an 8 seed. They're going to have to come out of the pack, and they're going to need a miracle if they want to go to the NCAA tournament. Now, Providence will face Butler. The winner gets Villanova. Villanova got a bye. It is only a single bye because the Big East is not as big as the ACC. Try to understand that. The other first round matchup is going to be DePaul versus St. John's. The winner of that matchup will get Marquette in the next round. That is a very interesting scenario. Villanova and Marquette will meet. Got the byes. The other team I want to talk about, the 4-5 matchup, Creighton and Xavier. Xavier's had some struggles all year, along with Creighton. So one of them will be in the semifinal. And remember, Xavier's got a lot more to play for. Both Xavier and Creighton are on the bubble are either one of the first 4 out or the next 4 out for the NCAA tournament. Marquette, look out for them. The Hauser brothers and Marcus Howard, they could be dangerous too. And St. John's or DePaul will get them in the next round. As far as Villanova goes, Phil Booth, watch out for them. Jay Wright got teed up over a bad call on last Saturday, so there's something to think about there. Colin Gillespie, those guys will be dangerous. The other matchup in the first round, Georgetown, Seton Hall. Seton Hall right now, both teams are trying to play their way in to the NCAA tournament. And Seton Hall may have gotten themselves in with an upset victory over Villanova this past Saturday. They knocked off the top 2 teams in the conference. They upset Kentucky way back in December. I haven't forgot about that. And my thing is, if they can get the job done, and I'm going to say this now, if this all fans out right, we could see Marquette and Seton Hall in the Big East semifinal on a Friday night. That's something to think about. A 2-3 matchup, I would pay top dollar to see that. And the possibility's there. I'm not going to lie to you. But the way it stands right now, Seton Hall, Marquette, it could be a semifinal matchup. There's a lot to think about. Villanova, they could have an easy road. But however, they have to face Xavier. And Xavier can give Villanova headaches. I've seen that in the past. So a lot of people are saying Villanova's got this wrapped up. I wouldn't quite say that just yet. So now, here is my championship prediction. My dark horse, Seton Hall. My dark horse is going to be Seton Hall. And my championship game matchup is going to be Marquette against Villanova. And you know what? I am going to go with Marquette to win the Big East title. Because the reason why I'm going to go with Marquette to win the Big East championship is very simple. Marquette has got the big double threat. They got the Hauser brothers and Marcus Howard. So I think, really, if you stop and think about it, Marquette has the easiest road to get to the Big East crown. Because Villanova, yes, they'll have an easy road until they get to the final and face Marquette. That would be a matchup that everybody's going to be talking about, and that game will be on a Saturday night. Just to let you know up front. All right. Let's move on to the Big Ten. The Big Ten is going to be the one that's got everybody talking. The first round matchups, the two matchups are going to be 13-seeded Nebraska versus 12-seeded Rutgers. Earlier in the season, this would have been an interesting ticket. And in the other first round matchup is the Battle of the State of Illinois. Number 14-seeded Northwestern against 11-seeded Illinois. There's a lot to think about there too. Also too, the next round is going to be Indiana, Ohio State. I'm going to talk about there here in a second. Maryland is the 5. Indiana's the 9th seed. Ohio State's the 8th seed. Maryland got a bye. They're awaiting the winner in the Nebraska-Rutgers matchup. They're the 5 seed. Penn State, the 10th seed versus Minnesota. They're the 7th seed. Iowa is a 6th seed. And the double byes went to 1-seeded Michigan State, 4-seeded Wisconsin, 2-seeded Purdue, 3-seeded Michigan. Now, the matchup I want to talk about most is the 8-9 matchup in the Big Ten tournament. Indiana versus Ohio State. Both teams are literally on the bubble of getting in. Ohio State is one of the last 4 in. Indiana is one of the first 4 out. This is a matchup that's going to have a lot of people talking. Here's the deal. Ohio State last year, they were red hot, and then they ran into Penn State in the quarterfinal. Indiana, they were struggling last year. This year, both teams are literally on the outside looking. One team's on the outside looking in, the other's just barely hanging on. In this game, someone's bubble will burst. And here's another thing that hurts. Another thing that hurts is Caleb Wesson's suspended. If he comes back, they have a shot. If not, Ohio State's out. So basically, the winner of this 8-9 matchup between Ohio State and Indiana is going to be in. The loser is out. It's that simple. I can't put it any more plain simple English than that. Now, the other second round matchup is Penn State and Minnesota. Penn State has struggled. Coach Pat Chambers said, if we can at least get to the quarterfinal, we got to win the whole thing just to get in. Now, Minnesota may have played themselves in. Now, if Minnesota could get to the final, I think they're safe. Now, 6-seeded Iowa, Fran McCaffrey's 2-game suspension where they lost the last 2 or 3 games, they have literally limped to the finish line because of it. And now, the matchups that I think that could have everybody talking. Now, the winner of the Indiana-Ohio State matchup, congratulations. You get Michigan State in the quarterfinal. Now, as far as Maryland, they could possibly face Wisconsin. That would be a lot to talk about there. So now it is now time to make my predictions for the Big Ten tournament. My dark horse is going to be Maryland. I can see them coming out of the pack and taking it away. My championship game prediction, I am going to go with Michigan State and Michigan. I'm going to go with the battle for the state up north, and when it's all said and done, Nick Ward, he's back, he's healthy. For Michigan State, that sounds trouble. Now, I grant you they've been minus Joshua Langford all season. But I've got to go with Michigan State winning the Big Ten tournament. And I got them beating Michigan. So there's a lot to digest there. So Maryland is my dark horse. I got Michigan State meeting in the final. And I've got Michigan State winning the whole thing. And that's all it boils down to. That's all it boils down to. Okay. Let's move on to the Big 12. This is a tournament that's been full of surprises all season. Kansas State and Texas Tech shared the Big 12 title for the regular season. But before we get to that, before we talk about Kansas State and Texas Tech, let's talk about the opening round matchups. And the Big 12 tournament starts on Wednesday. The first round matchups are 8-seeded TCU versus 9-seeded Oklahoma State. And in the other first round tournament game, it's going to be 7-seeded Oklahoma versus 10-seeded West Virginia. And I can tell you right now, in the next round, Baylor will face Iowa State. The 4-seeded Baylor versus 5th-seeded Iowa State. And in the other next round matchup we have settled for sure is 3-seeded Kansas, the Shocker, and the 6-seeded Texas Longhorns. Now, I'm not going to talk much about TCU and Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, West Virginia. Oklahoma, I think they played themselves in. I think they're safe now. With a huge upset victory over Kansas 2 weeks ago, they got their signature win. I think they're safe now. But if I was Oklahoma, if you could beat Texas Tech in the next round, if Oklahoma, they should have no problem with West Virginia. West Virginia's been bad all year. But if 2-seeded Texas faces Oklahoma in the second round, and if Oklahoma can shock Texas Tech, I think they may help their resume a little bit more. I really do. So there's something to think about there. Baylor, Iowa State. Baylor, I think they're safely in the field. Baylor, they had a pretty good season. But Iowa State, on the other hand, Mario Shayak was injured a couple weeks ago. And Iowa State is just limping to the finish line. That's all that happened there. But let's talk about the Kansas-Texas matchup. Kansas, they had a bad. You want to know how Kansas got the 3 seed in the tournament? Simple. They had a bad road record. Their record on the road was a nightmare. They've been out Udaka Azubuike all season with a season-ending hand injury. Sylvia De Sousa, he's ineligible for this season, for the remainder of the season, all next season, because his guardian took impermissible benefits. And that's what's led to Kansas a bad road record all year. Now, Kansas will face Texas in the second round. And don't forget, Texas has upset Kansas before. I haven't forgot about that at all. And I'm going to say this now. You may be thinking I'm going out on a limb. You're going to be saying, Scott, you're really going out on a limb here. But if you think about the Big 12 field, it's a very competitive field this time. So, my dark horse to win the Big 12, a lot of you guys are going to be thinking, Scott, have you lost your mind or something? But my dark horse is going to be Baylor. To win the Big 12. My championship game final is going to be Kansas State and Texas Tech. And I'm going to go with Texas Tech to win the Big 12 tournament. Here's why. Texas Tech, they've got Jarrett Culver, David Moretti, and Matt Mooney. Those 3 guys can get the job done. No disrespect to Kansas State and Dean Wade, Xavier Sneed, and Barry Brown Jr. They can shoot the basketball very well. But Texas Tech, they've been at it for so long. I can see Texas Tech winning the Big 12 tournament. I really can. And that's all there is to it. And the bottom line is, it's going to come down to who wants it the most. It really is. And now, last but certainly not least, the SEC. This was a hard one because you got to remember, the SEC's got a lot of there's a lot of competitiveness in the SEC this time around. And the SEC's tournament starts on Wednesday. Now, the first round matchups in the Southeast Conference are 12-seeded Missouri, 13-seeded Georgia. And the other first-round matchup, it will be 11-seeded Texas A&M and 14-seeded Vanderbilt. I'm not too concerned about those first-round games because I don't see them going very far. But just to let you know, the Missouri-Georgia game, congratulations. You win that game, you get 5th-seeded Auburn in the second round. And as far as the Texas A&M Vanderbilt matchup, you would get Mississippi State in the second round. Arkansas and Florida, those two teams will be meeting in the second round. That's already been decided. Arkansas, the 9th seed, Florida, the 8th seed. And in the other first-round matchup, 10th-seeded Alabama will face 7th-seeded Ole Miss in the second round. But I want to talk about the second-round matchup between Arkansas and Florida. Florida right now is on the bubble. I think they're one of the last 4 byes into the field. If Florida can beat Arkansas, congratulations, you get LSU in the quarterfinal. And if Florida can knock off LSU in the quarterfinal, get to the semifinal, I think they're safely in. Kentucky, they would face the Ole Miss Alabama winner. I can see Kentucky going all the way to the final. I really do. But Tennessee, on the other hand, Tennessee struggled against Auburn, if you noticed last Saturday. But let's think about it for a minute. Kentucky, they got a great team in Tyler Hero, Reed Travis. But Tennessee have Grant Williams, Emerald Schofield, and Jordan Bone. And if you noticed last Saturday, I haven't forgotten. Tennessee struggled against Auburn late in the game, very late in the going. So if somebody were to ask me to pick a dark horse right now, I would have to go with Auburn. Auburn would be my dark horse. South Carolina, no disrespect to them, but they had a horrible non-conference record. They struggled in non-conference play, and that was what really killed them right there. So I'm going to go with Auburn to be my dark horse in my SEC final. I'm going to go with LSU and Kentucky. LSU and Kentucky would be my SEC final, and I have Kentucky winning the whole thing. And that's all there was to it. So there you have it, my friends. Your guide through the conference tournaments in the eyes of me, myself, and I. And if you have any questions or any comments you want to leave, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to take them. Now, the conference tournaments start tomorrow. They start tomorrow afternoon, bright and early, bright and during the day. And it's going to be a very interesting ride to see how Conference Tournament Mania goes. And I'm going to be very honest with you. This is going to be a great week of college basketball. This is going to be a great ride, and it's going to be a great week. And this is going to be absolutely fun. We've seen some teams from the lower conferences punch their tickets to the big dance already. There's a lot more at stake this week. Who's in, who will be in, and who will be out, we will know by Selection Sunday next week. And I'm out of breath, and I'm not going to go any further tonight. And that's all I have to say. All right, folks, I'm going to go and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here tonight. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name is Scott Manning. All you have to do is type my name, scroll down, look for my pretty face, click subscribe, and you'll see all the sports videos I have done so far. Thank you guys so much for being with me during this special edition. You guys have a great night, and God bless. Good night, everybody, and thank you.